A big day on Capitol Hill today. It's 28 past the hour. A live look at Washington, D.C. The sun is up. The day is starting. Joining us now, member of the House Intelligence Committee, Democratic Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney of New York. Well, history happens today. What's the strategy?
Let the witnesses speak. Let the American public hear the story firsthand, unfiltered. That's the plan.
And what are the three or so questions that you all plan to focus on, or how far out will you go with these questions? Will it stay completely focused on the extortion of a foreign leader?
Well, I think you'll see the witnesses and the staff go into some detail on what happened, what these witnesses can share with the public. I think for those of us in positions of elected office for the public, the big questions are the big questions. Did the president abuse his office? Is it ever okay that an American president, this one or a future one, extort the help of a foreign leader for an advantage in an American political campaign? Is that okay? Can that be something we put up with? Can that coexist with the way our Constitution works? And if not, how do we hold the president accountable? Those are the big questions.
So those big, I think we'd answer most of those big questions right now. Can we put up with it? No. Is it okay for a president to extort a Democratic leader who's been invaded by Russia so he could get dirt on his opponent? No. But I think what I'm curious about is, this isn't like a trial where there's been depositions and everything that's going to be out there. This story continues to move forward. We really don't know what's around the next corner. So what facts do you still not have that you want to have? What questions are you going to ask that's going to reveal some information that you think may help members of the Senate better determine how they would vote on a possible conviction of the president if he is in fact impeached in the House?
Right. Well, Joe, I'm tempted to say the best evidence remains the president's own words as captured by the contemporaneous call memorandum, the admission of the White House chief of staff that there was a quid pro quo, the contemporaneous text messages that we've seen. By the way, we should see the contemporaneous notes and emails that the State Department continues to withhold. Those would be important pieces of corroborating evidence. Right. But look, I think that if the goal is to chase the Senate, I'm not sure that that's going to be something that works out in the end. Meaning, right. When I was a kid, I used to swim in the pool, and my mom or dad would walk backwards as I got closer to them. Remember that trick? They've moved right. their standard repeatedly from is there a quid pro quo to did the president do it? Right. And so I think the important thing is the important thing. The important thing is, do we know what the president did? Does it matter? Is it impeachable? We're going to accomplish that, I predict to you, with these credible, decent public servants who are testifying in the House.
All right. So again, we have a lot of that information already but I'm just curious, like, for instance, do you know what the president knew and when the president knew it? Do you know the exact moment that the president called for the quid pro quo? Do you know who he first spoke to about this idea? Do we have that information on when this plan was hatched?
There are still witnesses who are going to have important information on that. You're right, in terms of filling in all the details. But I would caution all of us into this, epistemological exercise of knowing everything that people who will not cooperate, who will not speak, despite lawful process, might be able to contribute when we know enough to form a judgment on the president's actions and whether it's tolerable or not in a free country like ours. I think the witnesses that are coming forward will give us the four corners of what the president did, when he did it, what he knew, what his intentions were. My God, it's crystal clear from his own words, from the call memorandum, from the White House chief of staff's admissions. Yes, we can keep adding layers of gloss on this, and I want everybody's evidence, but let's not lose sight of the fact that we have the core facts here, and they will be presented in a credible fashion to the American public.
Congressman, it's Willie Geist. Republicans were circulating a memo a couple of days ago talking about strategy here and defending the president, putting out talking points for Republicans, maybe a window into what we'll see from some members of the Intel Committee in that hearing today. Part of their argument is that President Trump is being undermined by unelected anonymous bureaucrats. Anonymous, I guess they're talking about the whistleblower, unelected, some of the witnesses you'll have before you today. What is your reply to that argument?
My reply to that is that, the president is not above the law. And when a credible member of his own administration, his own appointees, for goodness sake, when people who have lifetime of service to the United States, decorated combat veterans, people like today's witness, Bill Taylor, guy served in Vietnam, he was an infantry officer in the 101st Airborne Division, West Point grad. That's the same time this president was making up bone spurs. This is a person who has at least enough credibility to have his account weighed, together with corroborating evidence, against the president's denials. And in our society, we believe that the president is a citizen like the rest of us. And I'll ask you, who has more credibility? Bill Taylor in his lifetime of service, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, who earned the Purple Heart in Iraq, and Marie Yovanovitch, these other witnesses, or the President of the United States, who cares about the Constitution and the truth so much he uses both sparingly. I think after this week, serious people won't have any dispute, really, about what happened. People are going to have to understand and decide for themselves what the consequences should be. For me, it's a clear abuse of presidential power, and he must be held accountable.
So there is some clarity here on many levels in terms of the facts. Why is it so hard to get your Republican counterparts to see the same facts that you see?
You'll have to ask them, honestly, and they're going to have to look in the mirror and ask themselves. I've heard them spout some of the points you referenced in that memo. I have to tell you, like the other defenses that have been proffered by the Republicans over the last few weeks, none of those points will hold up against the facts and the evidence. That's a very important thing. The facts and the evidence will detonate those talking points. The only defense they'll be left with, I predict you, is, well, so what? And so what is where our democracy goes to die. We need to get real clear on whether we can let this president, any president, engage in this kind of conduct, pressure foreign leaders to undermine our own political process, to rig an election. I mean, if we've got American presidents using the full weight of the federal government to enlist foreign help in rigging American elections, investigating their political opponents, we've gone down a very dark road we may never come back from. We need to act.
Yeah. Member of the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney, thank you very much. We'll be watching today. And still ahead, President Trump has had a busy day ahead with a visit from the president of Turkey. But it seems like he has something else on his mind. He's already tweeting about today's impeachment hearing. The vice chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mark Warner, will be joining us later to weigh in on this morning's proceedings. A lot going on today. Morning Joe is back in a moment.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.